Hello, everyone. My name is Colton. I'm with Narrative Inc., and I am here today with another author interview with Darci Cole. Could you give yourself an introduction, please?
Hi guys, I'm Darcy Cole, a self-published author of young adult fantasy. I like to call it fairy tale fantasy. The two books that I have out are Target and Summon. Target is a yep, sorry. Target is a gender swapped Robin Hood retelling, and Summon is a gender swapped King Arthur retelling. And I'm working on book three, which is a queer Puss in Boots retelling.
Oh, that is really cool. And I'm looking at your website. You have like what, 8 books planned, or there's like a
Yes.
ton that just the cover isn't revealed yet. So I mean, yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's planned to be an 8 book series. The first seven are set to be retellings, and book eight is just kind of to like wrap up the story that is
Gotcha.
existing within those stories. So,
Okay.
uh, fingers crossed it works out.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, this kind of leads into one of my questions. I don't think I sent this one to you, but as I was looking through your website and through your blogs, I saw in a
Mhm.
2015 blog post you met Sanderson
Oh
at
wow,
a
you dug deep. Dang.
you met Sanderson at a signing, and something
Yes.
he said is that write what excites you. Obviously,
Yes.
planning 8 books is very exciting, but what is
Right.
helping you stay motivated to actually get those 8 books done? Where there's
Um,
so many things you could be doing.
totally. So the first thing that I will say is that being self-published means one of the biggest benefits of being self-published is that I don't have to rush myself,
Right.
right? I can work on my own schedule. For example, when I put Target out in 2021, my goal was to put out one book a year,
Hmm.
for 8 years and get the whole series done. I had some uh, I had some traumatic events happen in 2022, and I ended up being unable to write for about 18 months. Like I could
Wow.
not sit down and work. I was working through trauma. I was healing.
Mhm.
Still am, to be honest. But I finally like 4 or 5 months ago finally got to the point where I was able to sit down and get back to writing. So I missed a year. Right, I was
Right.
supposed to put a book out in 2023. It didn't happen. Um, but I've had like and that was upsetting, but I had to find a way to forgive myself
Mhm.
for it, you know what I mean, and make
Yeah.
sure, like, let myself know it's okay.
Right.
And so I'm trying to I don't want to just not put out the whole series because I've had this planned for years.
Yeah.
Um and the future characters and the future stories really do excite me. I am thrilled to be able to get to those. Um so that definitely is a pull, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm excited to get to those stories. But similar to Sanderson, uh sometimes you get dragged down by being in the same world too much.
True.
So when that does happen, I mean, I have plenty of other projects that I can poke around on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whether I remember I had an idea for something, just a scene had popped into my head, and I sat down and I wrote out like 4,000 words in 3 hours, and it was amazing.
Wow.
Um, but it was just an outline and a
Yeah.
scene, and I haven't touched it since. you know so it's like, but when you have that, like, it's important to get that out and make sure that you are, like, remind yourself what's fun about this,
Yeah.
so I do kind of bounce back and forth between that, but also, like, I have a bunch of other projects
Right.
that I work on as well. Like I've told you before we started recording, I have my own podcast. um I have a Patreon that I've started doing, like monthly meetups
Mhm.
sort of thing for a specific tier level. And that's fun. So, and I try to do like sprints on TikTok every once in a while. Like there's so many different things to keep me occupied,
Right.
to keep me from getting bogged down by a series. So yeah, I'm excited to get to it.
No, that is super cool. That's awesome. I mean, and you obviously with that 18 months of not being able to write, that's I'm
Mhm.
sure that was extremely difficult for
Yeah.
wanting to get the books out, but also just not having this creative pursuit that you obviously love.
Yeah.
And it really shows that you're taking being a writer, a creator, more than just publishing books, but actually creating something.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and along with that, oh shoot, I had a thought and I lost it.
It's
Dang
okay.
ADHD. Um, it was very, it was frustrating in that I wanted to write and I
Mhm.
couldn't.
Yeah.
And it sort of, it got to a point where it forced me, like I remember my husband asking me like, was this just a really long hyperfixation? Like,
Mm.
and now that you have the books out, you're not feeling it anymore? And I was like, I don't really think it is, but I had to
Yeah.
take a moment and like examine that, right? And really think about it. And I had a moment where I asked myself, you know, if I never if I never went back to writing, like if I just set it aside and let those two books be the two books,
Yeah.
how would I feel for the rest of my
Yeah.
life? And I got really sad. So I was
Yeah.
like, well, that's my sign, right? Like I
Yeah.
will get back to this eventually. And that's the nice thing is like it's writing is always going to be there for
Yeah.
you, you know,
Yeah.
no matter how many breaks you take or how long they are, like it's always going to be there when you get back. So
Yeah. Well, and it's like, of course, you can work on skills and improve yourself, but it's kind of like riding a bike where you're just like, you can consistently go back to where you were, or even like just by ruminating on it for a while, you're able to bring in a whole new perspective. Yeah. I mean,
absolutely.
I started projects early last year, and looking back now, I'm like, man, I can write that so much better because of like just life experiences I've gone through, things I've gone through. Um,
Absolutely.
but like that actually leads to a good question. How do you, as a mother, as a wife, and going to all these different events and stuff, because you have like a lot of events you're going to all the time. Heck, next month you're going to like 2 events within like a week's time.
Yeah, that's
How,
true. Yeah, that's true.
how do you keep the work life balance of being a part time writer and all the other stuff?
And a full-time mom. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Um,
Like
yeah,
part-time
no, I am the
creator, part-time or full-time mom, wife,
yeah.
yeah, all
Um,
that stuff.
yeah, so I am our kids' primary caregiver.
Right.
We have four kids, age 14 down to 6. So the balance has come through communication with
Okay.
my partner, right? My husband is amazing, and he has his own creative pursuits,
Mm,
and that makes it really easy um, to express like, hey, I'm not getting enough writing time. I really need your help, like
yeah.
defending that time for me. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Especially because as the primary caregiver, I often feel obligated to step in, even when it's technically not like my turn, like when I'm not the on parent, right?
Right. Right.
Um, and so he has to be like, go to your room, you know, sometimes, which
Yeah.
is great. Um, but so we've worked out a schedule, like a weekly schedule for ourselves, where
Hmm.
I get Monday and Thursday nights, and he gets Wednesday and Friday, or Tuesday and Friday, and then Wednesday is kind of a toss up.
Right. Right.
Um, and then no, sorry, he gets Tuesday and Wednesday, and Friday is the toss up because
Oh,
we
gotcha.
play D&D on Fridays
Oh, right.
most weeks. Um, and and then luckily this year my kids are all in full day school for the
Hmm.
first time, so that gives me most of the day
Right.
to be productive and get stuff done. And
Yeah.
it has been really freeing to have that time back. My Prior to this year, when my younger kids were still, you know, at home for half or the whole day,
Yeah.
it was easy when they were napping to get stuff done,
Yeah.
but there's a window between when they stop napping and when they go to school, that time was really hard for me.
Right.
Particularly because, you know, you talk about like breaking generational curses, and like
Hmm.
I'm learning how to parent myself and my kids at the same time, and trying not to, you know, trying to raise them in a healthy environment and
Yeah.
emotional maturity and that kind of thing. um, and so it takes a lot of energy to like keep myself calm when I'm really frustrated,
Right.
and show them how to stay calm when they're frustrated, right?
Hmm.
That takes the most energy. Like yesterday was obnoxious. I was so overwhelmed by the time they went to bed, that I like sometimes you just have to take a breather, right? And like I have to remind myself I do love my kids, right?
Yeah.
They're actually amazing kids. And watching them grow is one of the biggest joys of my life. But it gets really frustrating when like you get interrupted every 5 seconds,
Yeah.
or like somebody always needs something, and it just takes a toll on you, you know?
Yeah.
Um, so so yeah, as far as work life balance, it comes down to communication with my spouse, but also um, my kids enjoy. I think it's healthy for my kids to see me going places and doing things.
Right.
Right? It's hard for them because they're attached. They want mom to stay home.
Yeah.
Um, but I think it is healthy for them to see my husband supporting me going to these events
Yeah.
um, and see me following my dreams. So
No, that's awesome. Speaking of events, you're gonna be going to Life, the Universe, and everything. I will also be there. I'm
yes.
very excited.
Hey, nice.
It's yeah. When I
I'm
when I
excited.
I heard about it from Casey Woodruff, who
Oh,
I
nice.
is I know one of your friends as well, and
Right.
when she
I
told me
just
about it,
met her. Like
oh
just met her
oh
that
really?
that weekend. Yeah, that was the
Oh,
first time we'd met.
that's awesome. But when they told me about it, I was like, that sounds so cool. I'm like, I gotta go. And I'm still a student, and so I get a discount on my ticket. And so I'm like, oh,
Oh,
it's
nice.
even cheaper for me. And so yeah, I'm really excited for that because
That's a sweet deal.
Dragon Steel's awesome, right? It's such a fun thing, but it is a Brandon Sanderson convention. It's not
Yes.
necessarily a writer's convention. And
Yeah.
this, I'm just like, wow, I don't know how to spend my time because there's so many cool things to do.
They go all out.
Yeah.
Like I only my first time at LTUE was 2 years ago in
Okay.
2021. And 2021, 2022.
Yeah, 2 years ago. Yeah.
And
Yeah. Dang.
yes, 2 years ago. And and prior to that, I'd only been to two other writing
Mm,
conferences, Storymakers and ANWA, which is
okay.
held here in Arizona. It's the
Gotcha.
American Night Writers Association
Oh, cool.
conference. And both are great. Storymakers slightly bigger, ANWA slightly smaller, but neither of them have the array of options that LTUE has. Just the diversity of choices, like from gaming to
Mhm.
screenwriting to self-publishing to traditional publishing, like fantasy, romance, just all across the board,
Yeah.
right? And it is so cool to see the way that LTUE puts everything together just in panels. Like
Yeah.
there's no, I mean, there are some single presenters,
Mhm.
but they're very few, right? Like
Right.
most of those things are panels. You're going to have a range of opinions and on the one topic, which I think is fascinating.
Yeah.
So
No,
I'm
I'm
super excited.
that I was scheduling out my time because I'm like, okay, I really need to plan around it. And I was like, there's some hours where like, like nothing I'm super interested, but there's some hours I'm just like, I want to go to 3 to 4 things in here. I don't know what to
Like
do.
like I
Uh,
just want to go to all of them. Like
exactly.
there's definitely I'm on 4 panels
Oh,
this year,
okay.
and two of those time slots I'm like, but there's like three other classes that I want to go
Yeah,
to
yeah. What
during that time and I can't.
what panels are you on?
So Thursday I'm on a panel about retellings at
Okay,
6. And
gotcha.
then Friday I've got a 10 o'clock called Writing PTSD.
Okay,
Writing writing about like writing
okay,
characters with
gotcha.
PTSD. Not PTSD from writing, just
I'm sure a lot of people have that too, but yes,
sure, sure.
yeah.
And then 11 o'clock there's a coming out panel. I identify as asexual,
Okay,
and so I'm going to be on that.
right.
And 4 o'clock there's a panel called Improve the Now, which is supposed to be sort of writer encouragement,
Mhm,
right? And then I'll be also in the mass signing
right.
from 7 to 9 on
Okay.
Thursday. So
Awesome. Yeah,
on Friday.
oh, gotcha. I'll have to look, but I think the Improve the Now is one that I'm going to. But yeah, we'll
Nice.
see. We'll
Yeah,
see.
I'm
Um,
excited.
yeah,
So
I found a love for conventions, but especially writing conventions because I so many
yeah,
writers are friends with people that are outside of their space, like just not in
yeah,
their daily life, because we're just such a different type of people, and so it's
yes.
always fun to just go there and be like, oh man, they're all doing the same thing I'm doing. It's awesome.
And it's great because like you know exactly what like your opening question is to get
Yeah,
to know somebody. Like,
yeah,
hey, what do you write?
yeah, yeah.
Just strike up a conversation with anybody. And it is like it can be intimidating if you're very very introverted,
Hmm.
right? But if you know sort of like if you develop sort of a script,
Yeah.
then like everybody there is willing to talk because we all love doing this. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I don't know. I feel like if anybody asks you about what you write, that's a good opportunity for you to practice pitching. You know what I
Sure.
mean?
Yeah.
Practice describing what you're doing and tell them what you love. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's so fun.
Yeah, I actually am an introvert, but I'm an extrovert out of necessity. Where I'm like, I like if I want to be successful and like make connections and stuff, I have to actually talk to people and get good at it. And so, yeah, I would much
Yeah,
rather, like many writers, many artists, just stay home and do my thing, sit at my desk.
hunker down.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
I like I have to do this, and I do enjoy it. I kind of feed off people.
right.
I'm like a chameleon. I just blend into whatever situation I need to be
Yeah.
in.
Oh, that's so fun.
Yeah. Okay. So I have a question about your Kickstarter. And
Oh, yes.
like what is your
Yes. Hi, I have a
Kickstarter?
Kickstarter.
What is your Kickstarter? What's the goal? Why do you want to do it? Did Brandon Sanderson inspire you to do a Kickstarter? Yeah.
I probably should have mentioned that in my intro that I have a
It's
Kickstarter
okay.
coming up.
It'll be in the description below, and so people will know about it.
Yes, I'm doing a Kickstarter this year. It's from February 9th to March 9th. Uh, February 9th, 9 a.m. to March 9th, 9 p.m. I just
Hmm.
figured make all the numbers the same. It's easy to remember.
Yep.
Um, and the reason for the Kickstarter initially is because I need to fund new covers for my books. In case you haven't guessed, according to based on the interview so far, I am very supportive of LGBT community, and my third book, as I said, is going to be a queer retelling of Puss in Boots. And when my previous cover artist learned this, he bowed out. He said, "I'm
Oh,
not going to represent. I'm not going to make a cover for that book."
gotcha.
So to say I was devastated would be an understatement, but we won't go any further into that.
Makes
Um,
sense. Makes sense.
I just decided that as much as I love my original covers, they're gorgeous, they're beautiful. I would like to go in a different direction
Yeah.
with an artist who is more supportive of the content that I want to write.
Yes.
So that was the initial impetus for wanting to do a Kickstarter. That said, the Kickstarter itself is going to be for like the rewards and the things that people are going to be getting are a limited edition of the books. So each of
Mm,
the books is going to have a bonus story in the back,
nice.
and each one will come with like bonus content, some author Q&A and discussion questions, as well as cool like art and new things like that. So
Very nice.
um, I'm also I haven't really announced this yet, but there will also be like special deluxe editions with like
Oh.
foiling and like embossing and all of the fancy things. So those will also be available of the three books. So and to be clear, like this is just the first three books of
Yeah.
the series, right? I hope to have Kickstarters for the future books so that people can have
Right.
matching
Right.
sets. I'm a
Right.
big fan of matching sets, uh, and because I can control that,
Mm-hmm.
I figure it'll be fun to do. So yeah, so that's kind of the basic pitch of the Kickstarter. It'll be a limited edition, and we'll have fancy editions available. Um, and some of the highest, one of the higher tiers, there will be an opportunity for backers to buy themselves into the books. So you
Oh.
can buy yourself like a official citizenship into the Unbroken lands
Cool.
where my stories take place, a Tuckerization, if you will. Fans of Brandon Sanderson will probably recognize that term. So yeah, and it should be fun. I'm excited to like get people and get people excited to like make their own character, right?
Right. Right.
For the stories. So it should be fun.
Yeah. Dang, that is really cool. And my last question, did Brandon Sanderson inspire you to do this?
Yes and no. So he, like, as people probably know, he's done a couple of Kickstarters
Yeah.
and he's doing another crowdfunding campaign, not on Kickstarter this year.
Right.
So seeing that was definitely awesome, and being a part of those campaigns was super fun. But I also have a lot of other friends who have done Kickstarters
Right. Right.
in the writing community, and it's uh, Kickstarter itself has become such an amazing tool
Mm-hmm.
for authors, both traditional and indie. Um, to be able to do special editions or do like pins or swag
Right.
for their fans and stuff. So I just when I realized that I needed new covers and I needed to find a way to raise money for it, I was like, you know what? why not?
Yeah.
Let's go for it. So yes and no. I do think it is important to say that Sanderson doing a crowdfunding campaign is different than the
True.
average author doing a crowdfunding campaign, right?
Very
He
true.
has such a reach and such a pull, and his fans are so intimately dedicated, right? Like, and I count myself among them, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
we are insane sometimes.
Very true. Very true.
um but but I've learned a lot from other indie authors who have done Kickstarters, and sort of the strategies and best practices and things that are going to help it do as well as possible,
Mm.
and that's something that I never would have had if not for these other, these simpler, or whatever, not Brandon Sanderson
Yeah.
authors, you know what I mean, who
Yep.
have put together all this information. So
True.
yeah, it's been huge.
Oh,
A lot of fun.
that's really fantastic. And yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned all of the others that do it, because I also have friends who have done it, and obviously much smaller, not millions of dollars. Otherwise, we
Yeah, sure.
probably wouldn't be the indie authors we are. Um, but no, that's really awesome, because I mean, you kind of personify a philosophy that I have nowadays, which is build an audience, don't be the next bestseller. Like, work to do it part time and not be your full time, all you're doing thing. Like,
Yeah.
so I guess like my biggest question, and this comes from the panel that I was at when I first saw you as an author. How do you build up that dedicated following of people who would want to love being in your books, and
Right.
also just that, like, you'll probably have a successful Kickstarter because you have this dedicated audience who really want to support you and your stories.
Yeah. um so two things, I think. And keep in mind, my audience is still relatively small, right?
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
I have I do have people who love my books and who are fans of
Mhm.
the books and of me, and who have become friends. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, my little community is small enough that I know these people. You know what I
Right.
mean? Who are very dedicated to my books. So um, that said, like, I don't think I think everyone dreams of being like the breakout author,
Right.
right? And having their book just go gangbusters, right? Like,
Yeah.
everybody wants their book to just go viral and like sell millions of copies. Great. Um, but from the time that I started writing, and I've been writing with the intent to publish for over a decade now,
Hmm.
right? Um, I was constantly told that, like, for every overnight success story,
Yeah.
that person has been working for years,
Yeah.
in the dark, so to speak, right? Without being seen by public eye.
Yeah.
Like, Victoria Schwab talks about this as well.
Yep.
She wrote and did like work for hire stuff. She had multiple books come out. She had a series that got dropped by a publisher early on in her
Oh.
career, which now I bet they regret,
Yeah. Yeah. She's
but
pretty big
like,
now.
yeah, and so for every author who you see, people call them a super smash success all of a
Right.
sudden, right? Like, no, they've been working for a long time.
Yep.
And it's the slow and steady build that sticks,
Right.
like, publishing right now, trad publishing right now is, and I can say this because, like, even though I'm an indie publisher, I have studied traditional
Yeah.
publishing,
Oh
and I
yeah.
have friends who are involved in it as well.
Right.
Trad publishing right now is very, very focused on the hits, right? Like,
Mhm.
they only really want to publish things that are going to go big and go fast.
Yeah.
And what that's become, and what that's started to do, is that the mid list is very weak, right? These
Mhm.
books that people will just pick up off the shelf casually, because it looks interesting. There's very few of those right now, and it makes it so that the big hits kind of end up being sort of a flash in the pan, right?
Mhm.
Like, they go really big and then they kind of disappear.
Right.
You know, there was a few years there where, like, everything was just hit after hit after hit. It was like 2016 to 19 or something, somewhere in there. And like, where are all those books? You know what I mean?
True.
Like,
Yeah.
there's probably a handful that people are still talking about, but um, the majority just kind of come and go. And like, I don't want my career to be like that. You know, I would love to um, build a readership and an audience that knows what they're going to get, and is continually coming back, um, and just have staying power. You know what I mean? Like, I look at Sanderson and I think, he also started out small. Like, his first advance was like $10,000. That was
Yep.
it. And for a trad pub deal, that's not a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. No, very true.
um, so, and so he did, and he'll be the first to tell you that he got lucky with
Yep.
the Wheel of Time. That gave him sort of a built-in audience to come read his stuff.
Hmm.
But also, he didn't, he started out slow. He started out small, and built, and now he kind of has an empire. You know what I mean? Like, he's
Yeah. I mean,
it's not, I'm exaggerating, you know what I
eh,
mean? But
they're
um
building a palace. So yeah, I mean, next to an amusement park.
yeah,
And,
potato, potato.
yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, and I do think, however, the other thing that I was going to say, sorry, I'm talking a lot. This is going to be a
Yep.
long podcast episode for you.
This is your interview. I love this. Like, keep it going. Keep it going.
So the other thing I was going to say is that when I started this journey, one of the main decisions that I made was that I was only going to do things that I enjoyed doing.
Right.
So, for example, um, like different swag pieces or like strategies or things like this. I was like, you know what? I'm only going to do them if I'm having fun doing them. So, like
Yeah.
my newsletter, for example, best practice in self publishing and indie publishing says send out a newsletter every week, right? Or at least twice a month, so that
Yeah.
you're keeping people up to date, people who don't follow social media, right?
Yeah.
Um, and but I hate that. I can't do it. I tried. Sorry. Um, I tried for a long time. I tried to be really consistent with it, and I got exhausted.
Yeah.
And it became not fun anymore. So I still have a newsletter. If you'd like to be part of it, you can go to my website and sign up. It's at the bottom of the page. But I only send one out when I feel like I have something to say.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm not just going to send fluff out because I'm told I'm supposed to.
Yeah.
If you want fluff, go to my Instagram. But yeah, so that's just one example. There are a lot of things that I was told at the beginning that I needed to do, and I'm like, I am not going to have fun if I do that, so I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the basis of a lot of my decision making, which
Yeah.
is probably not great for things like marketing,
Yeah.
but it is what it is, and I'm having fun. And if I'm not having fun, then what the heck is the point? You know what I mean?
Well,
So
and readers really can tell. Like,
yeah, I think so.
people know if you're not having fun. If it's just forced and you're like, oh, I have to do this, otherwise it won't be successful. Like, of course,
Right.
there is a side to that is true. But like you said,
Sure.
like Sanderson says, like most people have said that are successful. A lot of it is luck. You hit the algorithm at the right time, or like with Dan Wells, somebody picked up one of his books in an airport. I was like, oh, this looks interesting, and then they picked him up for more stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
It's
like,
great.
it really is, a lot of it is luck, and a lot of it is just, like you said, working hard over time. I just watched a video about Steve Carell. He was just known for commercials forever. And then
Wow.
he did The Office, and then he became
Yeah.
leading man and all that stuff. But it doesn't matter what industry you're in, whether, traditionally as a teacher or whatever, you still have to do tons of work for that, or if it is creatively doing stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it takes
Absolutely.
so much work and a backlog of stuff. And like you said, if you're just that flash in a pan and you don't have anything for people to latch onto, they'll leave. Like,
Yeah.
even if you get called out by a giant YouTuber or author or whatever, if you don't have a set of books or stories or videos or whatever for them to grasp onto, they're probably not going to stay around for a little while, for very
Yeah.
long. So
Yeah.
I
That's very true.
I completely agree with what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, this over a decade journey has taken you in obviously so many different directions. Like, what has been the most influential pieces of knowledge that you have gained that you would like to share with people?
Oh, like writing advice or just like life advice?
Life
Jeez.
advice, just keep going. But also writing advice if you want to put it in there as well.
So one of the biggest motivations for me was pretty early on in my journey. I think I'd been writing for maybe a year or two when I found this.
Okay.
Was a video of a quote from a radio personality named Ira Glass.
Okay.
And in this quote, he talks about how when you start learning how to do a thing, you're not going to be good at it, right? You're going to be terrible. But the thing that got you into doing the thing, like, and he talks about creativity and writing, right? Because he writes like radio dramas and stories and stuff.
Yeah.
And he talks about, the thing that got you into this was your taste, because you read enough or you listen to enough and you develop a feel and an instinct for how a story should go, right? For how a story should feel, how you should feel when you are engaging with that story.
Yeah.
And you can tell at the beginning that what you're making and what it should be is not the same, right? You can tell, like, your taste is telling you this is bad.
Yep.
And a lot of people stop at that point. They think that they're just not naturally good at it and therefore it's not worth doing. Yep. But the only way to close that gap is to make a lot of stuff. Just create, just do as much as you can, right? And eventually you'll get to the point where you have closed that gap and your taste and your ability finally meet up. And that is the magic point, right? So very early on, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to write. I'm just going to do all the things. So for a long time, I wrote a novel a year for about 6 years. And I was writing short stories and stuff as well during that time. And then I had 2 babies within 2 years and I didn't write for a while. I was very busy. I was very, very busy, growing other things, right? Taking care of other things. But when I got back into it, it was kind of the same thing. Like, I just wanted to continue creating and continue writing, and so it wasn't until, maybe 7 or 8 years into this journey that I finally felt like I was writing what I wanted to write. Yeah. And that moment when it kind of clicks is really cool. It's also very intimidating because at that point you start to realize what you still don't know. Right? And you start to realize that now I have to challenge myself to and continue to push myself, because otherwise you become stagnant, so you keep growing and you keep getting better. And that just from the beginning, I was like, okay, if I want to get good at this, I just have to do it. And that is what kept me going for so long.
There you go. I mean, that's really the best thing that we could end on. That's it. That's it. That's right there. Send tweet.
Send tweet.
No, thank you so much.
Don't send tweet. We don't like X anymore.
No, it's not X. It's just Twitter. It's just don't give that to Elon.
Don't give it to him.
Don't let him have that. It's still Twitter. But yeah, sure. We don't like it anymore. But no, that's amazing. Thank you. I've also that whole concept of you aren't good enough to match your taste is something that I heard a couple years ago, and I was like, that's so true. Like, I love you, when you start filmmaking, you're not going to be Christopher Nolan or Steven Spielberg. You're going to be a little kid making movies in your backyard because you don't have the equipment, you don't understand it. You're not no.
It's like the equipment, the skill, the experience, like all of that stuff. It all comes together, and it does. It takes time and it takes doing it. Yeah. The only way you're going to get better is by doing it.
Yep. So, and also, art is subjective. There are so many popular books right now. I won't say names because I don't want to start any controversy. I don't think are very good books, but they're still popular and they hit a specific taste. And your genre, your art is going to hit other tastes.
Absolutely.
One of my favorite examples is not many people know about underwater basket weaving, but that small community is going to know about it and going to love it. So there's an audience out there for you. So
Right, 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 right.
but
Awesome.
yeah, no, that's really cool. So thank you so much for that. I really do appreciate that.
Yeah, of course.
My last question actually is, from the last year of 2023, of all the media you consumed and took part in, what were some of your favorite things, games, movies, D&D, not just from 2023, but just that you experienced in the year of 2023?
Listen, I am a bad person to ask this question to
Oh
because I
no.
because I don't watch a lot of new stuff.
Right.
And it's been a while since I've actually read a non-published book.
That's okay.
So what I will say is the thing that brings me so much comfort
Hmm.
is the Great British Baking Show.
Hey, no, like I said, it's just something that you consumed in 2023. It is
Of
not,
course,
it
yep,
doesn't have
and
to
I
come from
absolutely did.
2023.
I love well, and I love that show
Yeah.
um, because it shows people out of like in their element, but also out of their element,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And the dichotomy there is so fascinating to me to watch people struggle, but also like having like the time of their lives,
Yep.
right? They're so grateful to be there, and just the people of the UK are beautiful, so
Yeah, they're great.
they're fun.
Oh, that's awesome. No, I go and binge like waves of that show where like
Yes.
a couple years ago, man, that was all I was watching. I haven't watched it for a while, but it's because I know when I get back into it, I'm in it. Like it is
Yeah,
what I'm
I
getting
have to.
into.
They it's frustrating when they release it one episode at a time because I'm like I can't. I have to wait until they're all out and then I will binge
Yeah.
all of them at the same time
It's
because I can't not.
well, and just like the drama they're able to pull from this baking show, and you're like, they should not have gone home. They deserve to stay and be here.
Yeah,
And then there's
so
like
fun.
the underdog who you're like, they should have gone off a couple episodes ago, but they're still doing good. Okay,
But
I like them now.
they're right, and it's like oh, but they're getting better. Like
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
learning, right? Yeah, that's so fun to watch. So
No,
fun.
it's great. Like, that's awesome. No, well, thank you so much, Darcy. That was wonderful. I love your honesty and like I mean just bringing up, obviously you didn't go into detail, but just bringing up trauma and how that affected you and how you're able to heal and also continue to heal from that and continue to do your art. That's amazing. Congratulations. I don't know if anybody's told you that. I'm sure your husband has.
Thank
I hope he has,
you.
but
That means
good
a lot.
job.
It means
Like
a lot to me. Thank you.
keep up the good work. You're inspiring people. They may not say it, but you've clearly inspired me a lot to keep going, to keep pushing. So I just want to thank you for that and keep up the good work. You're doing really awesome stuff, and your people
Thank
obviously love
you.
you. Even if they just met you, I'm like, oh, they're like your best friend. Like I just met them this weekend.
Awesome. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. I really appreciate that.
Of course. No, I'm really excited to see you at Life, the Universe, and Everything. That's going to be a really
Yeah.
fun thing to go to. But yeah, awesome. Okay, any last minute plugs or things you wanna say before we head off here?
I can give you a little tease. I mentioned before we started recording, I'm a beta reader
Right,
for Sanderson.
right,
Hence my
right, right,
uh, we
right.
hated Moash first, okay?
True.
Um, we are in the process of beta reading Stormlight 5, and
Oh,
it's awesome. I
oh
will
my
just that's all
goodness.
we'll just end on that note. It's awesome.
Like so I've been like repressing like being excited about it because I'm like it's too
Uh-huh.
much. Like
It is. This
it's
is
too
too much.
much. I'm like
I
I'm about to
feel
cry
like
right
you're
now.
away.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm
It's so
ser-
stressful.
I'm seriously like wiping away tears right now. Whew. I mean, we'll end it here for the viewers.
Yeah. You have more questions for me.
Yes, I have a few more questions. Okay,
Keep
thank
in
you.
mind, I am under NDA.
No, I understand. I understand. Okay, well, thank you so much for watching, guys. Check out all of
Of course.
Darcy's stuff. She's obviously amazing. She's got a really cool Kickstarter coming up. Around the time this video goes up, it will be either just about to start or in the process.
Awesome.
But yeah, so check her out. All of her stuff. Obviously, some really cool retellings. Yeah, awesome. Thank you guys so much. Have a great day.